"Screw it, let's do it." One famous person, businessman and entrepreneur said this phrase. Guess who it is? Oh, and don't look at the screen yet. You don't see anybody in here. So guess who it is? It's from Britain and it's a Sir. Yes, you guessed it right. It's Sir Richard Branson, and his famous quote, "Screw it, let's do it," helped him to create many ventures, many business ventures, and achieved many things in his life. Let's analyze how he created the business, what was his leadership style, and how did he manage to control, to survive in these all business environments. Who could have thought that Richard Branson has a dyslexia? That means he's not able, well, it's hard for him to learn things. But maybe that's why he was so successful at all kind of business ventures. At age 16, he started his first venture, and that was magazine called Student. So at the beginning, he was working as the editorial person in that magazine, as the main editor to be more exact. But sooner than later, he realized that he was doing all kind of other stuff than just editing the articles in the magazine. So he liked that what he was doing, and he was quite passionate about that. Not long after, the magazine was kind of success, kind of not. It was really hard for a magazine to survive. They started to send the record labels via post. You know, in those old days, there was no internet, no cell phones, and you could not download everything to your computer or take your cell phone, scroll, click, double click, and listen to some music. No. Nothing was like it is now today. It was totally different. There was not even, I think, cassette tapes. Maybe cassette tapes was already there, I'm not sure. But as for CDs, that's for sure. There was no CDs at that time, so I think at that time there was only those huge vinyls that people were listening music from. So he started a business to send this via post to the clients that would bought and promote this through his journal, through his magazine. That was kinda connected and went, well, not that bad. After some time, this grew into record shop, because actually there was a strike from the post offices, and I think that was one of the first business decisions he had to make, like think quickly and take the action and make the decision, because everything will go bust. Post workers are not working, posts are not working, and if you would not do anything, everything will be bust because you will not be able to send the records to the clients. He came to an idea, he found a place, he made a deal with the owner to be able to sell the records on that place for free. On the first floor there was a shoe shop, and on the second one they made a records shop. Because that place was not rented at that time, and we said, can we just sell some records for some time until you'll find the person who wants to rent the place? Maybe some people will buy some shoes for you, that's a double deal, let's do it. And he did that. So they started to sell the records, everything was going quite well, actually very well, because not long after, a record label studio was created. And do you know how it was called? Yes, you guessed it right. It was called Virgin Records. It's also very connected. You have some shops, you are selling the records, you make a studio, and you can instantly sell those records in your own shops. That's a great deal. And it turned out it was a really good decision. Of course, he had the challenges to get the artist to the record studio to record the songs, but well, as he was doing all this kind of entrepreneurship and doing all kind of stuff, he did that, and he was able to attract some really well, later on big names to his record studio to release their albums. And he was living with the entrepreneurship mindset in his head. If there is money, let's invest it, not throw it away or do some crazy stuff. Let's invest it to another businesses and let's do something funny and interesting. So he rented the plane. Yes, he did not bought the first plane and started the airline. No, that would be too expensive. He rented the plane, start the airlines, and start the flights from England to America, to the USA. So this was a really risky business venture. But like he always says, screw it, let's do it, he was able to do it. Because at that time airlines were not so good as they are now. They were not so client oriented, and he saw many things that he can improve in his airlines. He was very clever, thinking how to get more money. Why not to brand the things with the name he has created? So nowadays, if you see, let's say, Virgin Records, actually this company was sold to keep the airlines alive, but that's another story. Or if you see some kind of Virgin Hotels or Virgin something, you should know that, well, maybe Richard has a little bit of stake in that company, but it's more like the name leased to somebody else. For example, Virgin Galactic, well, yeah, Richard is kinda the face of that company, but actually he owns only around 11% of that company. Everything else is our investors, and of course they are doing that business. So he kinda bought some stake in the company, maybe started the company, and later on sold the name or let others to rule and do with the company. Talking about other companies, or let's say failed ventures, he had quite a big in his portfolio. For example, Virgin Cola. They have made some market research, they made some tests, and people said, wow, this drink is really delicious. Sometimes people said it's even better than cola, the original cola that was selling everywhere in the world at that time. Actually, even now it's selling everywhere in the world. So he decided, screw it, let's do it, let's release our cola and let's sell it. Let's get some cash and let's get some really nice profits. And as always, in his usual style, he did a bombastic entrance to the market. He went to the Times Square, bought many Coke cans, put them in the square, took the tank, and went through those cans. Cola obviously did not like this movement at all and reduced the price in the market. What has happened? This venture just failed. He decided it's not worth to do it, we have failed, let's close it, let's forget it, and let's move on. He did that. And he had more than one of these kind of ventures. What he learned from all these kind of failed ventures is never to stop doing what you do. You failed, learn the lesson and move on. Don't let it crush you, don't let it stop your motivation to create. During his leadership time, during his lifetime, he was sometimes in not that good situation when he was almost out of money and he had to think how to came up out of that situation. And also he did that quite well. Now, as we can see, he really has a vision. If he thinks of starting some kind of company, he obviously thinks how to improve it, how to make it better, how to do this venture successful and profitable. Sometimes it was good, sometimes not so good. But if we take a look at the ruling, at how he was working with the companies, inside the companies, I could say that he had a democratic or participative leadership style. This means that he was highly interactive in his businesses, but he was encouraging people to think by themselves and do the stuff by themselves. He could say something like, my opinion is like that, I would do like this, but in the end, the employee had to take the decision by themselves, which was giving the creativity and so on. Branson believed that if you let people learn from their mistakes, they will learn and they will do a better job next time. I think it's a really good leadership style where you can let the employees to think by themselves and do the stuff by themselves. For the end, let me quote Richard Branson. This is what he has said. Business opportunities are like buses. There's always another one that's coming. Of course, you have to see those buses coming, you have to take the action, and you have to start the business, but I think this is really good quote, and this is really true. If you look around, you can always find some kind of niche or place to start the business. So, thank you for watching, and I hope this was interesting.